Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. Okay, today I have some really good news. And the good news is I may be continuing depending on how inspiration guides me. And I'm feeling this with a very open heart and a very open mind. First of all, I want to thank you for yesterday for watching the video and giving me the feedback that I really desperately needed. This was very important to me and it really meant a lot. So, I mean, don't ever underestimate the power of your words because your words can move even the biggest of skeptics to doing something that's right. So, thank you very much. I honor you, I bless you, and I appreciate you, and I really am very grateful to you. So, with that said, I'm going to start by doing the cards, giving them a nice shuffle. This is the Gilded Tarot by Ciro Marchetti. I've been using this for every day since I started the Going Deeper meditations. These cards seem to gel with me very, very well. I like them. The artwork is beautiful. It's just absolutely magnificent deck. And the nice thing is I'm actually learning some of the tarot. Oh, here. Sun card. Love that card. Card always makes me happy. But I am actually learning some of the cards, and as I go along and as I read them through the book and stuff, and then I try to commit the memory of the cards as I read them and stuff like that. So this is this is helping me a lot, and it's really becoming a very good thing. And I'm really enjoying just looking at the artwork of these cards and seeing what they say or what have you. So I'm going to go ahead and keep shuffling these until someone either says stop or energizes me to stop. Whoops. I wasn't sure if somebody was like telling me to pull these cards out. Okay. I'll give them one more one more poker shuffle. I love shuffling cards like this. They sound so cool. So, here we go. Okay, they said time, so I should stop. And I got the Queen of Cups. I've pulled this card before, and this is the sensitive, kind, loving queen who is very giving and very caring. The reason that I remember it was because of her dress, because I remember saying, oh, I like that dress, and I just think it's so pretty and everything. But she is a very empathetic, very kind, loving, and heart-centered queen, and seems perfect for today's meditation. And I'm going to go into why this is so important and so profound when I finish reading through the meditation. But I think that this is very significant. Okay, so I am now on day number 18. Today's April 30th, 2025. And the start of this meditation goes into something very, very emotional. I'm going to say it straight up. It goes into something very, very emotional, but it ends on a very, very optimistic and very positive note. So please bear with me while I read through this. So I started out by saying, Sunshine, I need some insight. And Sunshine says, I know, darling, you really are putting way too much emphasis on things. I said, okay, I know. Nigel says I'm burnt out. So how can I handle things in this state? And Sunshine says, you have got to realize that everyone has off days. The energy can shift in the blink of an eye. You could say one day, I feel like shit and it's just not working, to going to the next day saying, tra-la-la, everything is right in the universe. Nigel is right. You can take these days off feeling burnt out and say, okay, no meditation today. But take it day by day. It goes along with the notion of, yes, you are burnt out. The energy feels like crap and you don't want to do this. Then my advice to you is, don't. When you realize the notion that you have to do something, then you can allow the energy to flow at will. Consider this. You've had fun chatting with Jean and Karen. Enjoy that. Don't put too much emphasis on it. If people don't watch the video, then it's not your problem. If people get something from it, then that's awesome. But it is most important that you get something from this, not focusing on your ego. That seems to be asking if you are doing something right. The act of communicating in this way is unfiltered. If people try to censor you, or worse yet, you try to censor yourself, then the overall idea is shot to hell. I said, okay, well, I know you're unfiltered saying shit and hell in the same group of comments. And Sunshine says, well, yeah. Nigel says I'm blunt, among other things. But you should recognize this. Even guides can get exasperated at times. We want to help you. But when you start listening to your ego, we want to slap you and say, wake up. I said, slap me? And Sunshine says, not literally. But the idea is like, you are the captain of this ship. We can only suggest to you where to take that ship. If you make a choice, we can only try to help you steer you back on course. And as you learn these new things, then take chances. We can only be here to support you along that pathway. I know it is sometimes overwhelming. You open the door to the people to come in, and then you question whether or not it is actually possible. Yvette, let me tell you something. It is real. If people in the real world question your sincerity, then screw them. They're not worth your energy. Stop giving energy to them. If they don't like you, think you are weird, then let them go. You owe them no explanation. All you owe is the love and kindness towards yourself. You care about people. You've been told from the time that you were a small child how important people in your life are, afraid of being judged. You grew up around a narcissist who constantly judged or ridiculed you. You remember many of those instances. I said, yeah, one of the instances that recently popped into my mind was the day that someone called my house to torment me, and my mother got on the phone with them and talked to them like that person was all nicey nice. And Sunshine said, it felt to you like the ultimate betrayal. I said, yeah, I grew up believing that there was something inherently wrong with me. If my own mother was talking so nice to the people who tormented me, it was like I was the problem. I was never really happy because I was always trying to prove myself to her. And Sunshine says, call it what it is, abuse. I said I never really could find the word to describe what it was. I just knew that I spent the bulk of my youth doing the things my mother wanted. I never really understood what it was like to be an individual until I broke free from her control. That was life with a narcissist. My best friend saw it for what it was, but it took ages for me to recognize it. I finally went to counseling in 2000 because all of the abuse I went through by her boyfriend, I just never saw the relationship for the toxic thing that it was. Sunshine said, as I said, that was emotional abuse. It was blunt to say it, but it's truly no wonder that you did not end up in an emotionally abusive marriage. You were saved from that by a good man that you married. I said, is that why everything collapsed with my family after I moved here? Sunshine said, yes, you moved away after getting married. This was you saying in a word that you no longer wanted to be in a family relationship that was encased in control. And my grandmother comes in. I saw it, Yvette. When you got married, I knew that you were on the road to recovery. I said, Grandma, I had a feeling that you knew what was happening. And she says, I knew all along. I just wasn't in a place where I could help you. I always sent you letters. That was my way of reaching out to you. But even in your letters, you never mentioned what your mother was doing to you. It was as though you were blocked. I said, I was scared. She had put the fear of God into me. And my grandmother says, I know, sweetheart. I'm just glad that you made it the right choice when it really mattered. Contrary to your struggles as a young person, you are happy. That is the important thing. I said, I think I recognized it after I got cancer, how everything had crumbled with them. I knew that the only way they would love me would be to change to suit them. I couldn't do that. And my grandmother says, "You were so much like me, Yvette, not just with the men we married, but the abuse and neglect of the past. You and I were two sides of the same coin. It was for that reason that we understood one another so well." I said, "It makes a lot more sense. I learned so much about myself when I had cancer. I understood that to be selfish, as my oncologist said, I had to help myself by separating myself from all the negative energy. Grandma, do you approve of my getting German citizenship?" My grandmother says, "It's not my place to approve or disapprove. I am just surprised that it has taken you this long to do it. You know, my ancestors came over to the U.S. from Europe. I am glad that you have found happiness in Europe. The truth is, I am so glad that you are there. I am glad that you are not subjected to the tyranny that is happening there right now." I said, "What do you think about it?" And she says, "I knew all along that that man in the White House is an absolute disgrace. He is a monster, Yvette. No different than the men who abused us. He is being supported by the people like your mother who emotionally abused her child and stood idly by while her boyfriend harmed said child. There is no real difference in the people who but the people voted for this. They voted for the abusive ex who promised them cheap eggs." I said, "You sound angry." And she says, "I am angry. Remember when Sunshine said shit in hell and you commented on that? Well, I could say far worse. I could swear like a seaman when I look at what is happening." I said, "People are starting to stand up." And my grandmother says, "Well, it's about damn time, don't you think?" I said, "Yes. The thing is, you know I studied history." And my grandmother says, "Well, they need to crack open a book and read up on history. The trouble is, most of them are stupid and would rather use the book as a doorstop." And I said, "Grandma, I am so glad that we can finally talk. You are the only person from the family that I could really relate to when I was younger." And she said, "I know. But you had others. You had Frank. And you should be happy to know that he is here and sends his love." Frank is my grandfather. I said, "I guess you're happy to be together again." And she said, "Indeed we are. And we have had an amazing time getting to know Ferdinand," who is my father-in-law. "He and your daddy get along like a house on fire." That makes me so happy. I said, "That makes me so happy. I miss him a lot. And I know that Mama misses him as well." And my grandmother says, "Speaking of which, she's a good maternal figure to you. Stay in touch with her while she's with you." And I said, "I will. She's amazing. All the things that I lost with my own parents, I got in spades with them. I also know that if Daddy hadn't transitioned, I probably would have had a good relationship with him as well." And my grandmother says, "That you would have. Don't worry, Yvette. You have this well at hand. Keep on going with this. Never allow yourself to get overwhelmed by ignorance and arrogance. You will always find your way. You are well on your way to something special. All that needs to be done is to accept your humanness. Sunshine will help in that. You will find that levity you need with her." And I said, "What do you think of Nigel?" And my grandmother says, "He's a bit of a stuffed shirt, that one, but you love him." I said, "And Ramon?" And my grandmother says, "Stands to reason that you have him. He's very much like your husband and Frank. I like him." I said, "Do you not like Nigel?" And she says, "Oh, I like him. He's a bit of an intellectual, which is why you relate to him. Let him help you find the balance between earth and spirit world. But don't allow yourself to be too analytical. Just go with the flow. Bradley will help in that regard." I said, "He don't say much." She says, "True. You will sometimes think that he is not there, but believe me, he's always there. Metatron is too. Talk to him now and again. He's a smart one." I said, "I love you, Grandma. I miss you so much." And she says, "I'm always with you. I will never leave you." And at that point, I started crying. I just started sobbing. I said, "Thank you." I said, "Do you think that I can continue the meditations each day?" And my grandmother says, "It is not a matter of what I think. It is a matter of what you think. But since you ask me, I say do it. You will have off days, and during those days, take a break. Write a story, play your flute for goodness sakes. But don't do something if you are not inspired. The inspiration will come to you. Goodness gracious, you are an inspired human being, Yvette. I'm so immensely proud of the woman you have become. Don't ever let anyone put you down or tell you this isn't real, because by God it is, and as real as the nose on your face. Promise me you will never stop telling your truth. Do you? I said, I do, Grandma. I promise. She said, good. Sunshine, you watch over my girl. Do you hear me? And Sunshine says, yes, ma'am. And my grandmother says, good. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm going fishing. I said, catch a big one for me, Grandma. And she says, you can bet on that. And Sunshine says, now you know why you are doing this, don't you? I said, I do now. Thank you. And that's where we ended. And that was so beautiful. My grandmother, I have this one picture of her where she's holding like this huge fish. She used to fish. She and my grandfather would go fishing a lot, and they would catch some of the biggest fish I have ever seen in my life. And she was so proud of that. My grandfather would build ships. He had I don't know if he built them from kits or what they were, but he had a whole bunch of these like ships, and they were always very close to the sea, and they always had ships that they would build. And he had in his study these just massive numbers of like large ships out of like chopsticks and what have you, and it was just unbelievable what they had. And my grandparents would go fishing a lot, and they would every vacation or every chance that they would get, they would go out onto the ocean in a ship, and they would fish. And this was their passion. They loved to go fishing. And so when she said go fishing, then I was like, that's my grandma. That's my grandma. Indeed. So, yeah, that was like really emotional because I miss her so much. She died about 20 years ago, and sometimes I think she was the only person in my family who really understood me. I mean, she knew me better than just about anybody. And when she transitioned, I was totally gutted. So it was just really wonderful to talk to her today. And so I have this, and I'm going to look it up again just to be sure that I did this right. So this is the page of the Queen of Cups. Knight. Oh, I have to remember which order these are in. The Queen of Cups. The Queen of Cups is a kind, gentle, sensitive, and thoughtful, charming, socially polite, creative, and artistic. She sometimes appeared switch off from the outside world, as she is quite in tune with her inner world, which she can easily slip into, giving her detached air at times. She prefers one-to-one friends in conversation rather than large groups. Usually quite feminine and empathic by nature, she can at times be melancholy or prone to shifting moods. So, yeah. That's me. That's me. I said before when I pulled this card that this is me, and this is indeed me, and it's kind of interesting that on this day that I had contact with my grandmother that I would actually pull this card. So this is me. I'm going to try another card. I'm just going to pull another one and see what it said. This was the Six of Pentacles, and I always assume that pentacles have to do with prosperity and about having money. And this person is holding a scale and balancing the pentacles. So I think that maybe there's some kind of balance to be said. Maybe Nigel's energy is in this card. I don't know. Let me just pull it. So Six of Pentacles. This actually does help me learn the cards, though. So even though I don't know them all, but let me see. Wands, Cups, Swords, and Where's Pentacles? This is like really weird because, oh, Suit of Pentacles. There we go. Okay, Six of Pentacles. Okay. A well-dressed merchant holds the scales of balance and provides gold pentacles to outstretched hands. The Six of Pentacles shows successful material gains and being in a position that allows you to share with others. Business ventures should be paying off, or perhaps a pay increase is coming in your direction. It is important that once the work is done, the rewards are enjoyed. This is not only of monetary nature, but also a sign of sharing your time with others. Invariably, when we work hard, it is our nearest and dearest who pay the price of not having as much of our time as they deserve. Now that the results are beginning to manifest, show your appreciation for time and precious resource that can never be replaced. If money has been outstanding, then this card indicates that it should now be received. The Six of Pentacles is a card of generosity and kindness, so gifts are also indicated. So I think with these two cards, I think I have some answers here that I have been waiting for, that I needed. So I thank you for being here, and thank you for sharing in this experience with me, and thank you for liking and subscribing and for commenting. The comments mean more to me than anything else, but I really appreciate them, and I really am grateful to you for being here. And so as I go through my day, I wish you a wonderful time, and as always, namaste.